This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm TiMMy. Wait. Oh, no. Sorry. Billy, go ahead.
And I'm not Will. I'm Billy, but
Yeah.
that's my king.
All right, Mr. King, tell me about your channel.
Well, that's called Tell Me More, and it's pretty random, man. We just talk about everything. Internet stuff sometimes, and televangelists, and, Alex Trebek, and potatoes, and just whatever's interesting. We talk about that.
How about you, Billy?
Man, I review movies, I think, now. I do a lot of different things, but yeah, I just reviewed the Avatar, which is great if you like the show and you don't like the movie. If you like the movie, you're gonna hate me. But I do a lot of things, man. I do Wish reviews. I did Kids Choice Awards stuff. It's been a good time, man. I like it. I always have a good time.
Wish.com.
The secret video on Billy's channel. No, I'm just kidding. The secret code to enlightenment.
VISNAWesome, man.
Go watch TiMMy's video about potatoes. You know, it's interesting to hear about how they were illegal in France.
That's true.
And his reading of the kind of I'm gonna call it kind of sarcastic letter back to the master after the guy was given his freedom. It's a pretty good story. I really enjoyed that one.
Pretty good. Deadpan humor. Pretty much just asked for like all of his back pay.
Yeah.
And also just made some snide little. It's compared to like Mark Twain style comedy, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark Twain's a great dude.
Yeah, he's almost as good as that Samuel Clemens guy, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we debating today? I don't know what I'm ruling on.
Yeah, I know.
This big mallet. I'm ready to bang it. Create order.
He's ready to create order in the galaxy. He's going to restore order to the Empire. Anyways, so today is not Skull and Bones. I can't even talk. Let me get down to the bottom here. FACEOFF Friday. The guest, which is not FU Game Crew, go watch our videos with him on Wednesday and Tuesday, is actually with TiMMy from Tell Me More. The greatest storyteller on the internet, aside from maybe Billy, who's also a great storyteller. They're equal in my mind.
Storyteller on the internet.
They're equal in my mind, you know.
Every time I
watch one of their videos, I like tilt between them. So there's that. Different kind of storytelling, that's for sure. Should Nintendo produce a non-switchable console similar to the PlayStation TV, of which I happen to own one? I have one of those. So the question is, should Nintendo produce a little tiny box that can play Switch games without any kind of switching whatsoever? You know, without being able to do this, you know, and switch between the console and the portable mode, right? So that's the premise. All right.
Okay.
So, Billy and I are going to debate this, and TiMMy's going to decide who's going first.
And do I know what side each of you is on before I pick who goes first?
Nope.
All right.
Because neither do we. I'm just kidding.
Let's go Billy. Billy?
Yeah!
That means Chris gets the last word, so you know.
No, because
it's
I formulated a great argument, and I was so hoping you'd pick me first so I could pick my side. I say no.
Oof.
And I know I totally trumped you by saying yes earlier, and I lied to your face. But
you didn't trump me, you tricked me.
I did, I'm sorry. But I say no. I think I just say no. And I don't think it would make a good in my personal opinion, I don't think that Nintendo's version of the PS TV would be something that people would use. Yeah. Are we? I've never done this face-off. Am I making the case right now, or am
Not
I
yet.
stating?
Not yet. I'm gonna
That's all
fix. Okay, I am going to be defending that Nintendo should make a Nintendo Switch non-portable console. So now that we know that Billy's going first, Billy, you are able to make your case, and then TiMMy can ask you one follow-up question. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna fix TiMMy's green screen real quick here.
Okay.
very good.
So
There we go.
Well,
I think that's better.
let's get to it.
Go ahead.
So, listen. Okay, I have to start off that way. Listen, I think
Oh,
that
good. I wasn't. Now I am.
I think that the Switch dock is a great piece of evidence to look at right now, right? So, like, a lot of the people I've seen in my experience working in retail that I will not name have more than likely talk about never using the dock, never using to like play on the TV. Most people that I've talked to are very into handheld gaming. Like when I got the Switch myself, like I already have my PlayStation, I have my PC, I have my Xbox. They all game on the TV perfectly. Like it works perfect. So my Switch, I'm like, all right, cool. I want to take this with me. I want to take like Divinity Original Sin 2. Fantastic game. Love it. I have it way better on PlayStation. I think PlayStation does a great job of making it look like a crisp, beautiful little bundle of joy. But my Switch, it may look a little hardy. You know, it's got that little. It's not the prettiest in the world, but it's nice and it's convenient and it's great. And I know that I will be able to take it wherever I need to go. And do I need to put it on a bigger screen? No, it's perfect in the small format that it's in right now. And on top of that, the dock's ugly. So
That's your final point? I object to that one.
Nice little low blow there at the end.
I
Yeah.
object.
Objection granted, or whatever you do to make it happen.
You're throwing that last point out. Got it. Because the dock being ugly has
Scratch
nothing
it.
to do with it.
fine, mildly not.
Scratch
But
Straight from the record.
Do you have a question, Timmy?
Yeah, I mean, like, why not? You know, like you're playing all day, you're out on the farm or wherever you're playing.
On the farm.
Then you go home and you're laying down in your bed and you're still playing, but then you're like, I can just look up instead of down and play it still. You know, why not just do that?
I think it would depend on, I guess it would depend on how it would be hooked up, because my biggest problem is I feel like once you start lugging all of the cords and everything to start hooking those devices up, then it just feels like because if I have to travel with it let's just, for example, I travel with it. I take this Nintendo TV. I take the Mario TV with me, and I'm like, all right, cool, like I'll go hook it up at let's say I'm staying at a hotel, right? Why wouldn't I just take my PlayStation at that point? Why wouldn't I just, like, if I want a big experience, or if I want something that I think is going to be like worthy of being on the TV, I would just take my PlayStation with me, because it's got all the same games except it's on a bigger format with a crisper view.
Well, as an ignorant judge who doesn't really know much about this, is it like it's not wireless? It's like you have to plug it into the TV and then you put your Switch in it, and then there's a separate controller. Is that, Chris? You can.
Are you talking about the Switch or the PS Vita TV?
Whatever they're showing on that commercial right there.
This is the Switch.
Right.
Do you own a Switch, Timmy?
No.
Okay. So the Switch itself is like this right here, right? This is the Switch.
Right, yeah.
You can take the two Joy-Cons off, obviously, and then there's a dock that as soon as you put this thing in the dock, it goes right up on the TV.
Right.
So we're talking about eliminating the portable aspect, and essentially a dock hooked to a TV would play Switch games. So it's a non-portable Switch, right? So it's not wireless.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry if you didn't quite get the premise. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
So the Vita TV, the Vita TV specifically is a Vita, but it's a non-portable version. It's just a little black box, like yay big. It's not like lugging around a full-blown PlayStation. It's like this big, and it hooks up to a TV via HDMI, and it's got a power cord, and it can play Vita games and other stuff. So that's what I was kind of basing the concept around in the thumbnail that you saw in the beginning. That's actually a PS Vita TV. So, does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. But so you guys are actually arguing like
whether or not the Switch should have one of those, essentially.
Gotcha. Okay. Which would be a totally separate thing, not just a dock.
Yes.
Okay. It would be more stuff you have to take with you, Timmy. It would be a lot more things you have to take with you.
I object.
I was gonna say I think we've talked
Billy,
about this subject
now
enough,
that we've kind of had a side discussion here. Is there anything you want to add to your argument? I think it's only fair to give you another minute if you want.
The only thing I want to add is, I mean, the PlayStation Slim is not that big of a console. I'm just saying the Switch is not that big either, but bringing an extra piece with you, it could be a little much. It could be just a little overwhelming. I think just bringing the Switch with you everywhere and, maybe using the dock, maybe not. Most people don't from what I see, but hey, just a theory. But yeah, that's about it.
Billy, I feel so bad for you with what I'm about to do.
Lose on
Yeah,
camera?
you're going to lose
Let's
pretty
do it.
bad here. So I would argue that the Switch TV, or the Nintendo version of the PS TV, is not for people who own one of these. It's not for carrying around with you. That's not what the premise is, Billy. The premise for this console existing is to complement a Switch Lite. Because you don't have the ability to switch with a Switch Lite. But you do have Nintendo Online Service where you can back up your saves. And therefore, cloud saves would work across the Nintendo Switch Lite. If you have one of these and you just happen to want all three, whatever, you can do that. But your backup saves will automatically work and update immediately. So I could switch from the Nintendo Switch Lite, to the Nintendo Switch TV. And then I have essentially one of these in two different consoles. I don't need a dock. I don't need Joy-Cons necessarily. I have a Pro Controller and a little black box, and I have a Switch Lite. So my portable gaming is in the Switch Lite, and then I have the Switch TV where I do my TV gaming. And you could also soup up the graphics if you had a dedicated console. So you could have, instead of 1080p, maybe you got pseudo 2K or something. But the box would not require nearly as much cooling as something with a screen and Joy-Cons attached and electric rails on the side. So you could kind of soup up the graphics a little bit higher than you could with a standard Switch. I would also argue that you could then bundle a Pro Controller in the box and it would add some value to the deal. So let's say you may market this at $150 and then the Switch Lite's a $200 console. You're still going to pay $50 more for that setup. And you would need online service, which adds more value to the Nintendo Online Service. But it keeps people in the Nintendo ecosystem who don't necessarily want this console that doesn't necessarily do portability the best, and it also doesn't do TV gaming the best. Now you've got a good TV dedicated console, and you've got a dedicated portable that both play the same games in the same family, and it only costs you $50 more to get there. So the only real downside to it would be that you would have to take a cart physically out if you're going you're going with carts, and then physically move that to the thing. But if you're going all digital, good to go. Just stop playing it on your Switch Lite and swap right over to the TV with your cloud save, and you've got a seamless experience just like this. I would also argue that if marketed correctly, it could sell really well, especially if people have a Switch Lite and they wanted this experience but didn't think about it when they bought the Switch Lite. Now you have your option to do something like the Switch with the Switch Lite by just purchasing another console and potentially getting a Pro Controller with it. So $150 is definitely the price point for it. $200 at the most, especially if you bundle in a big internal memory. Instead of 32 gigs, you go 128. But yeah, that's my thought on this. It's a compliment for the Switch Lite, not a compliment for this, and it's not meant to be taken with you on the go. You have a question for me, Timmy?
Well, thinking, are you trying to object over there, Billy? Because
No,
see you raising your...
I'm waiting for my closing argument. It's okay.
Oh, okay, then overruled. I don't think I need to ask you any questions. I think I've soaked in the point there pretty well, and both of you get a closing argument still. So yeah, there's nothing I can really think of. I mean, this thing. Okay, in your opinion, there probably wouldn't be a ton of overhead, a lot of cost to Nintendo to make this thing, right?
Yeah, you don't need to produce screens, so you just you basically just bundle in a Pro controller, which they already have on the shelf, and you bundle in a little black box with all the processing components, and it doesn't even like there's so much less material required to build this thing. So it makes total sense from a cost perspective, in my opinion.
Gotcha. All right. Closing argument time.
And they're in the opposite order. So I will close first so that Billy gets the last laugh.
Exactly.
So I think I know where Billy's going to go with his closing argument. I'm just thinking about this. So if he's going to start off by saying that the PS TV failed and that why would this console do any better, here's your answer. The answer is that the PS Vita versus the TV did not have the same capabilities. You could only play whatever was whitelisted on the PS TV. The Nintendo Switch, right out the gate, would tell you exactly which games will work with the Switch TV. It would have a dedicated little icon on the back of all the boxes, so you would know right out the gate which games would work. Unlike the Vita TV or PS TV, whichever you want to call it, if you're Japanese or American, it's a different name for the console. It never really said which games were PS TV compatible until they put a little banner across, and then they stopped midway through production putting that banner on any of the cases. So there's like no clear communication which games were going to work. So basically you would just say straight up, any older games in the dock mode will work with this console because dock mode would be essentially the same thing. And then any consoles that don't, or any games that don't support docked mode will not support this little console. So there you go, boom. Jurisdiction's already been made on that. And then, like I said, if you can market this at a price of $150, you might even convince some people that have been on the fence about this from the beginning to jump on the Switch train. So I think Nintendo's got a winner on their hands. They just have to market it well, and maybe even throw in a Switch Lite plus PS or a Switch TV bundle with a Pro controller and Joy-Cons, or not Joy-Cons. It doesn't need Joy-Cons. With a Pro controller and like a game, maybe Breath of the Wild edition. Who knows? But I think Nintendo's got to do it. It's an easy win. That's my end argument.
I would think about that. Yeah, it's good. Billy, go ahead, bud.
I have one question for you, Chris.
That's not how this works, but I'll allow it.
Okay, it won't be a question. I'll just make my argument. So your Switch TV, it costs what, about $50? That's what the idea is.
No, 150.
So, 100. Oh, that's even better. I'm so excited. Okay. All right. So why wouldn't you just buy a Switch at that point?
Double the cost. I object. Double the cost.
It's because a Switch Lite costs $200. So then you'd be having to get the piece that essentially just makes it a Switch, because you could still use cloud saving on a Switch, and then you can use it from your Switch Lite to your Switch, because that's what Lindsay and I do right now. And then you would just have a glorified dock, and then you would essentially just have it hooked up to your TV at home. Like, it would, because that's what I do. Like, I have my dock. I don't use my dock ever, but when I do, it's attached to my TV. I bring my Switch, I plop it right in there. The only difference that
hold on, I object. Who doesn't have their dock hooked up to their TV?
No, I do have my dock.
But you just made a point, like, as if people wouldn't have this hooked up to the dock hooked up to the TV. I have my dock, but I have it hooked up to the TV. Like, that argument to me is invalid.
No, that's exactly my point, though. Like, if you have it hooked up to your TV, you would be doing the same thing with the Switch TV. You would be hooking it up to your TV. So what would be the reason to have a Switch TV if you already have your dock hooked up to it? It's so easy to. You're
totally using you're basing your argument on this, and I'm basing it on the Switch Lite. I don't understand where this apples and oranges.
But you're saying, but that goes to the whole point of, like, what would be the point of even getting a Switch Lite at that point? Like, if they wanted to have that.
If you don't have this.
So
you would get it. You would get
that if they wanted to play it on the TV. Why would they get the Switch Lite if they had the idea to put it on the TV?
If you have a Switch Lite, let me just finish. Let me remake my argument one last time, then, Billy, because you're missing my entire point. I'm saying a whole bunch of people right now have Switch Lites, right? That's not dockable to a TV. Switch Lite cannot output to a TV whatsoever. So you're out $200 already. To buy one of these, brand new, is $300. To buy a Switch TV is $150. You're already sunk cost $200 into the Switch Lite. A Switch TV is $150. If you can buy a Switch playing console, a Switch game playing console for the TV for half the cost of this when you already have a Switch Lite, it's a no-brainer.
But the thing is if you bought if you went in with the mindset of I'm gonna buy a Switch Lite, and then you're like, okay, but I want to play it on the TV, the core function of the other console, why wouldn't you just buy the other console? So at that point, like, but what I'm stating is I feel like it's a not necessary product, because the people that would have bought a Switch Lite wouldn't have had the idea to then be like, well, I want to play on the TV. They wanted to play handheld, while the people that bought a Switch were like, I might want to play this on my TV. And if you did, and you decide, hey, I want to play it on my TV, you could trade or get rid of that Switch Lite for almost the same price as buying the Switch TV for getting a Switch. Like, because it would be $150 to get a Switch Lite or a Switch TV.
Yeah,
okay.
You said that earlier, $50 difference, pretty much. They either get like the Switch Lite and the TV, or the regular Switch.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you decide you want to play it on the TV, then just buy a Switch. And then the people that are going on the Switch Lite are like, I don't think I want to play it on the TV. I'm going to play it on the Switch Lite, which makes this product, like, very null and void. Like, I don't think anyone would need it. I don't think anyone would have a use for it. But that's my argument. Again, we're still friends. I love you. Don't be mad at me. That's just my
I was just trying to make sure that my argument was clarified when you were talking about it, because I didn't want it to be misrepresented. That's all.
No. I just, again, not to reiterate my thing, but I'm just saying, like, I think on a standpoint of, like, its idea, the people buying a Switch are already getting that bundled in my opinion.
Can you buy just the TV without, like, if I don't own a Switch, can I just buy the Switch TV and then buy some paddles and play it?
Yeah,
or how does that
would be the idea. The idea would, so like, if for somebody in TiMMy's case that doesn't even want to play portably, that's an option available now. Like, instead of paying $300 for this, TiMMy can pay half the price, get a Pro Controller, and play on his TV.
But you would still need a Switch. You would still need a Switch Lite. To stream it, you would.
No, that's the point. The Switch TV is not a streaming device. It just has the ability to have continuity because you have cloud saving.
So what is the Switch TV? What are we classifying this as?
You can put cartridges into the console and play them. The PlayStation TV can play PS4 games. I'm talking about, like, straight up Vita versus PS TV can both play the same games.
Oh, then if you're talking about it as its own console, I didn't realize that was the argument. I thought the argument,
it's complementary.
That's where we lost each other.
Yes, that's why I was trying to make it clear. Like, this thing can still play Switch games on its own, bundled with a Pro Controller.
Well, that's where we lost each other. Because I was like, Chris, how do you not understand? I was like, this wouldn't work. I was like, I don't know how anyone would think this works.
I'm so glad we figured that out right after closing arguments.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Super excited. God damn.
All right, sorry.
Well, I mean, do I have to say who won?
Yes, you're going to make your argument right now. Who won?
Because I feel like I'm just getting bigger, you know? I just feel like I'm blowing up right now. I have to say, Chris definitely wins. I mean, those are some no-brain points. Sorry, Billy. There's no reason not to do it. It's obviously like they're just taking the stuff they already have, software, putting it on a little chip, and then buying some RFD transmitters. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how wires and stuff work, but it can't be that much of an investment to do what they're doing. And, like, yeah, for the add-on to the Switch Lite, sure, that's cool. And for someone who doesn't even have it, but I really like the idea of just having a couple of paddles and Breath of the Wild, I'm definitely going to want to play that. I don't know, man. Makes sense. I think good arguments were laid out. I think we all learned something today, you know? That's what's important here.
The things we learned today were the friends we met along the way.
Oh,
wow.
I just stole every meme in the book.
I don't want to hit it. It might be too loud. I'll max out the mic, but I feel like the ruling has been laid. Chris is the winner.
Thank you,
Put
sir.
me back in the top. Very good. Thank you.
Very good. The king is back.
King, baby.
And he's not glitching out like Billy, and Billy's no longer glitching out, so it's a good time for us to do the outro.
Did that hurt, Billy?
As always, everybody watching this video needs to go subscribe to youtube.com/TELLMEMORETMM and youtube.com/VISNAWESOME VISNAWesome and tell me more. Every time I read your URL out loud, I just think of like that movie sound where like after something really crazy happens, there's that boom noise. You know, like.
Tell me more. I'll take it.
Every time I read that, it just makes me think of that. Like tell me more. You know, like the really bassy noise that comes out of movies, and then all of a sudden the screen flashes white and everything goes crazy. What?
Like the old CSI.
Yeah, kind of.
Shades.
As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm TiMMy.
And I'm Billy.
And we will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST.
on the next Crimitim Willy Billy Gilly cast.